Hi, Dave Roscoe here. It is Monday, July 21st, 2025, and I hope everybody had a good weekend. Mine wasn't so great, and I'll explain that in a minute. I've got something of a migration mystery on my hands. A user from the comments reached out with an interesting problem, and I thought it would be like a simple answer, and after digging into it, it seems to be that there's a real mystery here and perhaps a bug with the Pi network software, and we'll talk about that. I've also got an update on my anti-scammer bot, which is why my weekend wasn't so great. As you can probably guess, it wasn't good news, and we'll go into that as well. But first, the metrics. The circulating supply is 7.7 billion Pi, and there were no user accounts migrated over the weekend. Not a one. Now, I have noticed that there have been sporadic issues accessing wallets through the app and loading some of the Pi network pages on the web. So my guess is that they've paused migrations to do some sort of reshuffling or updating or something like that on the back end. They usually stop migrations when they're doing upgrades and things like that. Maybe they're rolling out some new software. I don't know, but there were no migrations. And they have not yet resumed today. If they do, I'll let you know. There is 43.8 million Pi in the Pi migration wallet. Migrated unlocked rewards are at 2.52 billion Pi, with 12.7 million Pi unlocked over the weekend and now free to be traded on the open markets. Looking at the price action, the Pi coin is currently trading at 45 cents, which is up 1.22% from this time yesterday. The market cap is at $3.49 billion, which is up 1.2% as well. The daily trading volume is at $69.03 million, which is up 73% from this time yesterday, and now 74, which tells me that our trading volume has been low for the last at least 24 hours. And that's not great. You always have to be careful when the volume is low, because with a low liquidity coin like this, things can happen so fast. So be careful. I sat in on a charting session with Bullish Babe on the Crypto Wolf Pack, and she said overall, the Pi coin's looking bullish, at least in the short term. She was looking at what was known as a falling channel, and that typically is falling wedge, and that typically is a bullish sign, but there are other signs to temper that. So if it's going to go up, I don't think it's going to go up to a large degree, and it still may go down. So it's kind of a crapshoot. But if it does go up, the target is 45.8 cents, which is not too far from where we are right now. I wouldn't trade on those kinds of margins, but some people do. And that's all I got to tell you about that. So let me talk to you about a mystery that I'm seeing. This user came to me and said that his Pi has unlocked, but it's not showing up in his balance. And if you look at this image, he's correct. And what's very interesting about this is that if you look at the transaction, there is 169.1 Pi that is showing unlocked, and it came from the Pi migration wallet. Looking at the transaction details, it starts to get a little strange. The Pi indeed says it was locked until July 9th, and it was pending until July 9th. And the migration itself happened on June 25th. So that is consistent with most migrations, because the pending periods takes 14 days. So 14 days from the 25th would put us at July 9th. However, there are no lockups. So the details say it's locked until then, but there are no lockups. So the Pi unlocked all on its own, but because there was no lockup, there was no claim to bring it into the available balance. And now this Pi is stuck in some kind of limbo. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen here. Now, I know that there are some Pi moderators that watch my updates. So if any of you are watching this, I'm asking if you would escalate this up the chain a bit, if you can. Send it to a super mod, or if you have somebody who can contact the core team, please escalate this case, because I think this may not be the only one like this. Obviously, something is wrong here, because he confirmed the lockup as part of the checklist. This migration happened 4 weeks ago. And actually, let me show you this. So if we look at the Pi Blockchain Explorer, this is the transaction that the wallet was created and funded with. And it was obviously a batch operation, and the user's wallet is right here. So about 4 weeks ago, this wallet was created with a balance of 1 Pi, which is typical of migration activity. And then there was a operation create claimable balance. This is standard migration pattern. And that happened 4 weeks ago. And if you look at the JSON, which is the under the hood stuff that defines what's going on, you can see the typical dual claimant. This is the Pi Foundation 11 wallet, and this is the user's wallet. And you can see that indeed this claim was made with only a 14-day lockup, which is kind of weird, because the 14-day pending period does not count towards your lockup period. So in your app, you have to lock up your Pi at least 25% for 14 days. That's minimum. The default is 100% for 3 years. So somehow this lockup was created very strangely. And I have no idea what's going on, but because of what happened, it looks like this user's Pi is in limbo. And I'm going to put the transaction number in the description so that if a moderator wants to take a look at this and run it up the chain, it is likely that there are more people in this situation as part of that batch. I don't know what went wrong. Maybe nothing went wrong. But the fact of the matter is, this person has unlocked Pi that is not part of his available balance and can't be transferred because there's no lockup. So something went wrong here. And if anyone can run that up the chain and take a look at it, I'd be very appreciative. I sent out a video a couple of days ago bragging about the fact that I had 2 wins, no losses with my new bot against the scammers. And it turns out that was a bit hubristic, because the very next try, I lost. And that was a blow, both for me and for the victim. When you have successes, you expect them to continue. And when you have somebody who's looking at losing all of their Pi, hopes are high that you'll be successful. Even though I disclaim it, saying that it's a race and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I was not happy about this loss for a couple of reasons. Let me show you something. This is the blockchain transaction for this claim. The contested balance was for 1,647.9 Pi. And if you look at this victim's wallet, there were pages and pages and pages of failed transactions. They wanted this balance bad. And even with that competition, I almost won. This is my transaction. It is my wallet address on the blockchain saying that I'm owed 1,647.9 Pi, which means I should have gotten that claim, but I did not. And if you look, this is the underlying JSON for that transaction. and it was never successful. So it made it to the ledger, but when the voting actually happens to determine who wins, I didn't win. The only way this two sequences of events can happen is if I missed it by literally milliseconds. I'm always trying to improve my bot. Shaving off a few milliseconds here or there, doesn't really improve reliability all that much. So I will continue to try to improve my bot. But I do now have confirmation of one thing. The scammers are running bots on the blockchain. They are not limited to the public Horizon API. Now, I don't know if the Pi Core team is aware of that or if they care about that, but I just want to point that out. There is no doubt in my mind that the scammers are running bots directly on the blockchain. So I'll keep you posted. I have several more people with unlocks happening that I've got queued up, and I'm continuing to make improvements. Some of the improvements I'm making are not speed improvements. They are improvements to improve my win rate despite being potentially a little bit slower. How much that improves my success, I can only guess, but I'll keep you posted on that. Well, that's all I've got for today. If anything breaks, I'll be sure to let you know. But until then, don't panic. Stay the course, and remember, the success of the Pi network begins with you. Pi to the moon. Peace.